Hey everybody. I just want to thank everybody for coming out today to watch the game demos. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure all of us who are taking this class appreciate it too. So we are team 5 ever because it's more than 4 ever. So that's our team name. The basic idea of our game is it's a third-person flying shooter tug of war. I think you'll get a better idea of what the gameplay is actually like once you see it. It's pretty self-explanatory. So I guess I can introduce our teammates if they look like they're busy though. Okay. Right here on my left is Patrick. He was in charge of most of the a lot of the artwork. He did concept art for the main player, like the body design. He also did animations and concept art. Next we have David right there. Say hello, David. So David handled the input interface and a lot of the 2D graphics, pretty much all the 2D graphics. He worked on the HUD, the heads-up display. So any 2D graphics you see is done primarily by him, and the artwork was done by Patrick. Next we have Karen. So Karen initially started on sounds and game logic, but then she moved on to be a lead of CD collisions. So all the collision detection you see was in our game is refined by her. She spent a lot of time making that, like handcrafting that, so it would feel pretty good when you're colliding with the buildings. And it will feel good, I guarantee you. Next we have Matt in the red. Say hello, Matt. Yeah, so I feel like this game is kind of like Matt's brainchild because he's in charge of all the player controls and the camera. So a lot of the things he wanted implemented and the things that he wanted to see, we kind of followed his vision of how the game should feel in terms of controls and yeah, gameplay. Next we've got Lex, who is our prime lead in graphics. He's pretty much our leader, our renowned leader. So, yay. He'd probably be talking up here right now, but he's a little under the weather. So, when you look at our game, you'll notice a lot of like fancy graphics techniques. It's all done by Lex. He was in charge of the animation loading the textures, doing the shadows, lighting, all that stuff. We have Tony right here in the glasses and the beanie. Yeah. So Tony did pretty much, Tony and I kind of split the work on the network. He was in charge of the server side and I was in charge of the client side. And then we both moved on to game logic afterward. Tony also did, he set up the entire collision interface for basically making it efficient using an octree, if you guys know what that is. And then, he also mixed the soundtrack for our game and chose a lot of the music for it. Am I missing it? Oh, it's Suzy. And Suzy did artwork and concept art for the buildings, the terrain. We have a city in our game, which is one of the main features, and she designed the entire city in a city engine. So please look out for that. It's pretty cool. And then I'm Adrian. I think I already said what I did, but I'll reiterate. I did the client-side network, and then I moved on to game logic, and I set up a lot of the sound interface. So all the 3D sounds, yeah, I did those. So now I'm going to hand it off to Patrick, and he's going to give you a little background on the story of our game.
It's kind of epic, so I want to get the full effect. This is our background. Our setting takes place on Sector 5, a planet that had undergone a world war that nearly destroyed mankind. In the wake of this tragic war, a new order was constructed. A capital was built that ruled over 15 outlying districts. Not long after this world was built, the capital began to abuse its power by implementing high taxes and unfair wages. This sparked a very short-lived rebellion. The capital eliminated everyone who stood against them and banned inter-district travel and communication, limiting only the leaders of each district to travel freely. 3 months ago, 3 months after the conflict ended, the leader of District 5 traveled to District 4 to discuss plans of reconstruction. His son, Keratin, who came along to learn his father's trade, was supposed to return home with experience that would train him to be a leader one day. But instead, he trotted into District 5 with Adara, the leader's daughter of District 4. Keratin took her hand in marriage without their parents' consent, but unbeknownst to them, people of different districts were forbidden to marry each other, and to do so was punishable by death. The capital discovered their unity through one of their many district rats. As an example, a public execution was held for both Keratin and Nadara. Enraged, leaders of both districts plotted together to bring down the capital. A bomb was built, and the plan was to sneak it into the capital with the aid of their advanced combat humanoids. What they were unaware of was that the capital was keeping a close eye on the leaders, anticipating some kind of opposition. After the bomb was built, the capital intercepted it and placed it on a track between Districts 4 and 5. A timer was placed to detonate, so both cities must now protect themselves from being completely decimated. And this is where you guys come in. So, can I get 2 volunteers? The guy in the blue and the guy in the white.
Okay, so right now our players are kind of waiting until the game doesn't start till everybody joins. Okay, so. Okay. Strange. So as you can see, we have an aerial view of the city right now, and we're rotating around it, so you could get a pretty good idea of how the city is divided. So there's 2 teams, blue and red. And the objective of the game is to try and push that bomb in the middle to the other city. You can do this by floating into that transparent sphere, and that'll automatically push the bomb towards the other city. So right now we've got BB's picking up an ammo power-up. You can see down in the bottom left, he's got missiles. Right now he has 90 out of 100. So one of the main features I want to highlight right now is you can target other players, like Matt has just done, and the missiles will home in. So that's one of like the main things that we wanted to make look really cool. So the missile trails and the missile head, how it's sparkling, that was done by Matt. He wrote the particle engine for that. So right now Matt is controlling the bomb, and as you can see, it's making a siren noise. As you control the bomb, you can see at the very top of his screen, he's pushing it slowly closer and closer towards the red side. The game ends either when the bomb is pushed completely to the end, or the time runs out. In which case, whoever side is closest to loses. Okay, Matt is showing off another one of the features that he really wanted in. So this is called the sweeping camera mode, in which the camera now, it follows the person you're targeting, so you can see them at all times. Matt just died. Can you pull up the score screen and show that off? Yeah, so really like that score screen. Patrick designed it. That's pretty cool. As you can take a look at like the reflections in the water. That was done by Lex. So when I was saying that he was in charge of all the advanced graphics techniques, He made this reflection and the water bump map. We originally had a blue sky map, but we wanted to go with something a little different and something to set the mood a little more gloomy. So that's why we chose this dusk sky map instead. So you get, I don't know, you get a little more unique feeling to the game that you wouldn't normally get if it was just a regular blue sky. Also notice that when the bomb is under control, the entire bomb path lights up, so it's pretty easy to tell when somebody has control of it. Right now you can see David's health when you're locked on. Or when players are in range, you can see their health. So right now we can see David is a little bit lit up. Oh, and Matt just died again. Red team is pushing the bomb back the other direction. Do you want to show off third-person mode, Matt? BBs. Okay, so this is another one of our features where the player just flies straight, but you can control the camera and shoot in any direction. So in this mode, you're a little bit limited, but you have free reign to aim in any direction you want. The reason I wanted to show it off is so we could take a look at the model and the work that Patrick did. There's also an animation that's played, which is pretty cool. You can hear the bomb being controlled on the back side. Our team is trying frantically to push it back. 1 minute left in the game. You want to show off like collisions at the city? Yeah, it's pretty smooth, right? I told you it would be good. About to end, you can hear the clock ticking a lot faster, and it's going to go into game over.
So I guess I'll start commentating on this next match. So Adrian, see your skills. I taught you well. You know, for the past 5 minutes before this presentation. So like one cool feature that is one of like the core elements of our game was the missile tracking. So what I tried to do was make sure that the missile would at least try to follow the player, and how I did this was doing some trigonometry to turn the missile towards the target every frame. However, to make sure that every missile doesn't just collide with the player and end up in an instant kill, we made it so that every missile has a slightly turns less than the player. Therefore, you have some time to... Oh no, what happened? Oh no. They're having some technical difficulties. We do a server restart. just gonna restart the server. Yeah, over the past 2 days, we were trying to rush in many of the new features that we wanted to get into the game. One of them being, if you can notice on the game that there were power-ups, and we had one for health and one for extra ammo, which gives them more missiles to fire. Another feature that barely missed the cut, or that did actually just get cut, was that we had allied turrets on every base that would protect their route. Unfortunately, they were kind of big, so we were unable to present them to you guys today. So I think I'll explain a little bit more about the HUD, because I don't think we actually covered that. So on the bottom left, we have the health bar, which is right next to that shield icon. And the bar below that is the boost meter. It kind of works like Star Fox, where you have a limited amount of boost and break. And on the bottom right, you have a radar that just displays enemies and as well as turret positions or bomb. At the very top, we kind of took on the inspiration from Team Fortress 2, where they had the, what was it called, the payload mode. And so our payload is basically the big bomb in the center. So when he gets into range, your weapons actually have an attack range, and your missile range is notified when you see a hexagon over your target. So you might notice them charging up the missiles first before unleashing their fury. And once there's an additional circle that appears when you're in gun range as well, so that you can't just spam missiles from across the map. And then I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Patrick's awesome animations on the player. So can you try to boost really quick, Adrian? Oh, barrel roll. And there's a lot of awesome detail on that, so we have Patrick to thank for that. Yeah, it's like concrete armor. I don't know how he flies. Jeez. Another subtle feature that we weren't able to fully integrate was that you could actually shoot down missiles, and what we intended was that you could use the third-person mode to shoot down missiles that were trailing you. We weren't able to fully adjust the hitboxes to make that a feasible strategy.